Hey guys, welcome to Ham Radio with K0PIR, my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, click on that subscribe button below, and if you want to be notified when I put out a new video, ring that bell below. I've got a new article on my website, www.k0pir.us. It's going to be coming out real soon, and it is on DM780, Digital Master 780. I've cleaned it up, I've streamlined it, I've made it beautiful, and it's been operating almost flawlessly for me. Okay, if you've been following my articles on my website, the Icom 7300, the Icom 7610 works beautifully with Ham Radio Deluxe, and I've got the latest version, or almost the latest version out. I think they put a little fix out just yesterday, but this is version, let's go down here, version 6.5.0.196, and I think they got a .198 out. It fixes a couple of little things, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, a couple of weeks ago I did an article and a YouTube video on Ham Radio Deluxe rig control. Let me bring that up. This is what it looks like. And I like this. I like this layout a lot better. It's cleaner. It looks better. It's easy to navigate. I've got some sliders down here that I use quite often. And if you look at my Digital Master over here, you look at the radio pane, you'll see some of the same buttons and same sliders over here. So I don't really need to have that showing when I'm operating PSK31. If I go over to the far right, the toolbar options, I click on it and then go over to main. I've eliminated a lot of those things, and I've only got the ones showing that I use. So if you haven't already, this is one thing that you could look at, and this is a good way to just clean up the interface. Just select the ones that you use most often. And I'll show you here. If I right click on the menu bar, you'll see that I only have the main showing. I don't have my call sign or the clock showing. I don't need that stuff. Just the main is showing right there. So that's showing, and then over at that drop down window, the add and remove buttons, I go over to main and I select the ones that I want. And you can see right here in this main toolbar, if I want to see the super sweeper, I just click on it. If I want to go back to what I'm operating, I just click on the tab. If I want to see the radio, you see it's displayed right now. If I want to get rid of it, I just click the button. Want to show it, click it. If I want to see the sound card, same deal. Go back to the radio. I usually like it this way. Got the radio, I got of course the waterfall down below, and I also have my little logbook showing down here. I like to see that. The deal with this logbook is if you go up to view and then quick log, when you have that selected, after you make an entry you do have to hit refresh. But if I want to see my main logbook, I can just click on the button and it pops up. So I have the radio pane showing, and then over here I have my add log entry, because when I see a call sign over here, and there's not much going on right now, it's early in the morning. If I go back up to somebody I was talking to, let's see, this one, I can right click and then left click on call sign, and it puts it right into my little logbook, and the add log entry goes in there. I can see the ham's name, is QTH, locator, and everything else in there. And then I have some tabs down at the bottom, and I can see a little bit more. I go over and I can see a little bit more. And then this stuff I don't usually get to anyway, but I do have that one showing. And it's also showing over here on my toolbar. And then I have the tags showing, and I like the tags to be showing because I do change power every once in a while, and I'll just change the power in here. When I change the power in here, that changes on my macro. So that's kind of nice. And if I change antennas, I can edit it here, and it changes in my macro. So I like to have that showing. And then if I want to send the weather, I can put the temperature, the weather in there, and some other things. That's a real neat feature, and I'm going to start using it more. Just pass back and forth the weather. But that's what I have showing. Let me go over to the PSK, and this shows the macros, but I also have those right here, so I don't normally have that showing. And this is the way that I have it set up, and you'll see the I've got my little slider up here for the squelch, and then of course down below I can see what I'm using for my sound card. It's a USB audio codec on the 7300. I like to have that showing because every once in a while that'll get messed up, and you know, I won't be receiving anything. There's no waterfall, or I won't be transmitting. It's coming out of my computer speakers, and I can look right here and see what the problem is. And if for some reason you close that tab accidentally, or even close the super sweeper, to get it back, just go to QSO and new window. And it should bring your layout back just the way that you had it. And then you can add the super sweeper. Always comes back as CW, so I have to go in and fix that. There you go. Okay, so that's the interface. That's the way that I have it set up. Let's go in a little bit further and look at the program options. I'm going to click on it right there. I could click on it up here in the main toolbar. But let's just go up to the appearance. And I have some of these screenshots, a lot of them. I'll have them on the article, or in the article on my website. It's www.k0pir.us. I'll have these screenshots, and you can have a look at them there too. So the appearance, you know, this is stuff that you can play around with. I've played around with it a lot. Call sign information, of course. And what I enter into here in these tags, what I enter into here goes into my logbook. And I'll show you my logbook here. If this last contact I just made, if I double click on it and bring this up, it opened up on the other screen. But if I bring it up, we can take a look at, let's go over to my station. It enters in the correct power. So I'm using this profile. I just have the one, and I've got another article on cleaning up HRD logbook, and I'm just using the one profile. But when I'm using these tags, this gets transferred over into my logbook, so it enters the correct power. Okay, let's go back to program options. And my call sign, and of course this is the information. That's the same as over here. It's the QSO tags. And I'm not showing my clock, but if I did, that's what it would look like. Of course, my logbook and the connection. This is the way that mine is set up. I'm using the Icom 7300, but this is normal, your local host, and the port 7825. And at startup, I have it connect. So I have the radio pane over here, and I'm connected. And we'll take a look at this radio pane too a little closer. The modes and IDs, I can transmit CW using KY commands, and it works okay, but I have to be pretty careful with it. Sometimes it just stops transmitting on me. I think the buffer gets full, something happens, and it just stops. But it's okay if I'm just transmitting CQ or a signal report, something like that. It usually works okay. And I'm using a 1 USB cable. I mentioned this on my website. 1 USB cable this time around. And this is the way that I have it set up. We'll have a look at push to talk here in just a second. RTTY, I'm just using AFSK this time around. I'm not doing FSK. Reed Solomon. This is something that I've been playing around with, and I kind of like it because I'll see some signals over in my waterfall. I'll see something way over here and wonder what the heck it is. And if they send out the RSID, then this program will tell me what it is. And then I can go over, I can change modes and go over and make a contact. So I have this enabled, and I also have it shown on the toolbar. So if I'm out transmitting an unusual mode, whatever it may be, if I hit that RSID, it'll transmit a little ID before I send out my CQ. And then other guys that have that enabled will be able to see what mode I'm using, because some of them, you know, you hardly ever see anymore. And it's kind of nice that this, it tells you exactly what it is if they have that enabled. So I've been playing around with it. Push to talk, and I'm using Ham Radio Deluxe for push to talk. I'm going back here, the video ID, I don't have that enabled. I played around with that for a little bit and it caused problems, so I'm not playing around with that. Push to talk, I'm using Ham Radio Deluxe. And then the radio, you know, I got it up here. This is what it looks like. I think this is a little bit custom, but I changed the text in here. It's not a big deal, something you can play around with, so it looks good to you. This looks good to me. QSO, let's go through this. I've got these, or I'll have these on my website, and I'll have these screenshots. The general, you can see what I have here. I like to have the program on top when it's sending. On the receive, got a little bit of a lag in there. On the receive, I've changed this. I like the way that it looks right now. I may go back in and change it later on. One thing I was playing with was stretch the squelch control. I can unselect that and you'll see that it tightens up there. I think I'll leave it that way. And then, oh yeah, let me go back here and display the smiley icons. I noticed another guy using it the other day, and it's just kind of funny. So I selected it, and I can transmit them and receive them. And you know, it's just kind of neat when I see somebody send a smiley face. Transmit. I'm playing around with a couple of different options here. I've got two selected, so I have these two right over here, and it's just something I've been playing around with. They're text buffers. I can set up something in the second buffer, have it ready to go, switch over to it, and then transmit it. Then over here, of course, the toolbar, I've got the RSID that was in the other one also. And then I have it customized down here. Send characters after space. I've been playing around with that. Let's go over to the sound card. I'm using the 7300, so I've got the USB audio codec input and output, and it's also down here, so I can see if it changes. You know, every once in a while, you know, I don't know what'll happen, but something happens and it goes to the computer speakers. That hasn't happened in quite a while for me. I leave my radio on most of the time, so that's probably why. But anyway, that's what I've got it set for. Sounds, I'm not going to go through this. Or the storage, you know, to back up your stuff and that kind of thing. And then the super sweeper, this is the way that I have mine set up, and I've just been playing around with this lately. I don't normally use it, but these aren't real critical. These kind of things, the depth, the level, quality, played around with a little bit. The waterfall, this is something, sometimes it's hard to get this set up to look good, and I've just got it pretty basic. I can set the center frequency to 1500. That's pretty good for PSK 31. You know, other modes also, but I don't have it enabled right now. I don't need to see that. I know where the center is. Radio macros, show the radio control macros. There's buttons. And then, of course, this is the sound card and the window title down here. Tuning, use the mouse. Go over to color. I'm using a default. Select it from the list. And then a color scheme 3. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like down here. And over in frequency mode and speed, I'm just showing the waterfall. I've got the waterfall display mode. You can play around with this stuff to make it look better to you. I've got clipping 21%. And I've just left this. That's the default. Smoothing, I've got it set to about 3/4 of the way up. Speed, number 2. Play around with it. See what works for you. Weak signal, I've got this these two enhanced and then advanced, and I've changed the bandwidth on this. You'll notice when a signal's coming through, if you increase the bandwidth, you'll see a big wide band right around their signal, and I don't like seeing that, so I've got it all the way down. Gains up to 59%. That's something you can change. And then the rest of this stuff I'm not going to go through. I don't think there's PSK reporter I do want to go through. I've got it enabled and it sends updates, so whatever stations I'm receiving, it'll send it up to PSK reporter. I think that's kind of nice to have going. Time synchronization, my time synced with another little program I have that I was using for wsjt-x. So boy, I don't want this to turn into too long a video. So anyway, that's the way that I have it set up. The critical items in my customization, the highlights is the buttons. Those useless buttons are gone. I have the radio pane showing, add log entry. My tags are visible. I've got Super Sweeper running. I can go in here and see who's transmitting. I can see a bunch of stations in there, and I can select them from here. That's something that I haven't normally used, but I'm starting to use it a little bit more. The waterfall, I've got it visible. I've got my logbook. I can switch over to it. I just have to remember to hit refresh. And then my macros are simplified, and if I've got 3 here. I've got default, PSK contest, PSK, and RIDI. So I guess, yeah, 3 right in here. And to go in and edit your macros, just go to the manager and you can edit them from here. That's another whole video, but I've got mine pretty well simplified. And when I want to change one quickly, I can just click on, let's say I'm going to change the station. I click on reply and then right click on station. It brings up the window that I can edit, and I can edit it here. I can change this. I can get rid of that, and then just click OK. So that's a real easy way. If you guys don't know that, just left click and then right click, and it brings it up, and you can change it, and then click OK. One thing to remember about this program that I've had trouble with, I'm going to go to the PSK manager, and I am going to save as, and save the macros, the macro definitions every once in a while. I'm replacing it, but I'm going to save it so I don't lose it, and I'm always going to click OK. Another thing on my layout, I'm going to go up to View and Layout and Auto Save on Close, and every once in a while I'll go over and click Save Current, because I've lost this a few times. I've had mini dumps, and when a mini dump happens, it's going to ask you the identity. I'm going to go up to File and Identities and show you I just have the one main identity. Got a mini dump just a little while ago, and when it brought up DM780 again, it was telling me to choose an identity for my 7610, and I removed that quite a while ago. So I don't know what the problem is. I do run into a few problems every once in a while, but for the most part, I love using this program. So thanks for watching. I hope you find this informative and useful. Remember, I'll have an article on my website. You know, by the time you see this, the chances are it's already up, and I'll have a link below going right to the article. If you have any questions or comments, just make them below. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Also tell your friends. 73 and good DX.